is offensive line help on the way for the Miami Dolphins in Week 16 against the San Francisco 49ers. We will talk about that. It's Tua versus Purdy. Can San Francisco end the playoff dreams and the miserable season for the Miami Dolphins? Or will they remain alive for at least one more week? We're going to talk about it all. And we got a lot of injury updates, a lot to discuss. Smash that like button. Subscribe if you are new. And let's get into this episode powered by BetUS.
Loses the football. Touchdown! Got it!
You have got to be kidding me.
Jalen Waddle has a Dolphin touchdown. And he will score!
Field down the near side, man open, touchdown!
The run from Tua Tagovailoa.
Touchdown!
He's going deep. He's going over the touchdown again.
Tagovailoa trying to make up for it. Fires to the end zone. Touchdown!
Touchdown, Dolphins! Beautiful day to be a Dolphin fan. Let's go!
What is good, Fin Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason, and we are back here for another one. Appreciate each and every one of you coming through. Smash that like button as you do on this Friday. I know, hey, if you are a parent or if you're in school and watching this, it seems like it was the last day for a lot of kids around. I mean, at least where I'm at today, both my daughters. They finished off and everyone's ready for the holiday break, but we ain't stopping here. We ain't breaking for nothing or no one, because even though it's bleak in terms of an outlook, the Miami Dolphins season remains alive somehow. Finally, Wynn better get the start at left guard. 727, baby, coming back to play. Want Achane to run for 230 with Wynn back. Oh my God. I wish. Wouldn't it be, you know what's crazy tonight? Wouldn't it be hilarious if Wynn comes back and everyone else gets healthy on terms of the bookends for what we have, because Jackson ain't coming back, and all of a sudden we have our first one, whether it's Moser, it won't be right because they won't give him enough opportunities, or whether it's Achane or whatever. Wouldn't it be hilarious if we had our first 100-yard back of the season? Because, I mean, we've collectively put up over 100 yards multiple times this year, obviously, but we haven't had a 100-yard-plus rusher yet. Wouldn't that just absolutely be hilarious? It's honestly what I'm expecting. They'll still find a way to lose. Shout out to all of you coming through. Please do me the favor. It goes a long way. Smash that like button. Subscribe if you're new. Let's talk about a few things. One thing I didn't cover yesterday with Neil, and I'm going to cover it today, and I want to talk about Danny Crossman. I don't know if anyone saw what Danny Crossman said yesterday, but Danny Crossman basically admitted that they knew the fake punt was coming. He totally admitted that they knew, but then he just blamed it on execution. Right, because McDaniel had already come out and said that he knew that they expected the fake punt. And then Danny Crossman basically came out and threw the players under the bus and say it came. Now, Storm Duck was pushed out of bounds, and that's why there was so much space. We broke the play down. But still, how many faux pas is this guy going to be given a pass on? I really honestly don't understand. Maybe everyone in the building knew that a punt fake was coming, but clearly, when you break it down, Crossman wasn't one of those people in the building, okay? And I love how he just throws his players under the bus, bro. What do you got? What are you gonna say for the last 3 years? You gonna just throw players under the bus for the last 3 years too? Every year, people want to talk about excuses. Holy jeez, this guy. I don't know who's got pictures of, but there is just no way Danny Crossman should be in Miami next year. I don't see what benefit he brings to this team. All right, like I don't at all. And I don't even want to hear Jason Sanders because Sanders was a Rizzy pick. So that's where I'm at with that. Danny Crossman up here admitting they knew it was coming, and then you give up that big of a play. Are you crazy? You're better off lying to us and telling us you didn't know it was coming. Honestly, you're better off lying and telling us you didn't know, instead of saying, yeah, we knew it was coming, and then throwing your players under the bus. Unbelievable. Get that guy out of here for real. We also didn't talk about it. I got to talk about it because I thought it was hilarious. Woody Johnson nixing a trade for the Jets to get Jerry Jeudy because of Jerry Judy's Madden rating. Are you kidding me? You know what? You know why I laughed a little extra hard though? Because how many people in this fan base treat the quarterback position like it's Madden? Right? They want a guy who sees it in fastball like it's Madden. You know, drop the 5-step drop and then drop back an extra 8 yards to give everyone time to run their route and get out of their breaks and then throw it. You know, that's what they want. It's funny. Like, as much as it's so depressing to be a Dolphin fans. It's so depressing for us Dolphin fans at times. At least you can sit back and say, at least I'm not a Jets fan. You know, at least I'm not a Jets fan. That's something how many, you think our season went bad? They were telling everyone, oh, look what we did with Zach Wilson. We're going to be even better with Aaron Rodgers, to the point where the media was buying it and people were making them Super Bowl favorites. And I was telling y'all, this is craziness. At least our core is like proven together, right? Other than, injuries is what's held our core back in coaching. And then lack of execution. I'll agree with Crossman there. It was just great. And look at what that's done. They're just as bad as they were with Zach Wilson as they are with Aaron Rodgers. It's crazy. Like, literally nixing a trade because of Madden ratings. Holy Jesus. That's brutal. That's not good at all. Like, at all. So, and I see everyone's still up in arms about, everyone's still all worked up about the loss to the Texans. And, everyone's still, you got people out here flip-flopping on Tua. Last season they were defending him. This season now he's trash. He's not good. And blah 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 blah. You got the people who have been quiet, who have been hating Tua his whole tenure, now coming out from under the rocks. And listen, like, dude, Tua was awful on Sunday. There is zero doubt regarding that. But again, context of the situation, right? Only really bad game since he came back, number one. And number two, listen, and this is not excusing Tua's awful play, but this goes to go back to this team and this roster construction. And it's a broken record at this point. Against that same Texans team, Goff, 15 of 30, 240, 2 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. They found a way to win. Josh Allen against the Texans was 9 of 30 for 130 yards and a touchdown. Tua had a higher passer rating against the Texans than Goff and Allen did when they played him. But it just goes back. Goff throws 5 picks. Lions win. Josh Allen, the last 4 years, led the league in turnovers. The Buffalo Bills have won the division and won playoff games. The Dolphins could never win a game where Tua throws 5 picks. The Dolphins could never win a playoff game, let alone win the division with Tua or any quarterback leading the league in turnovers over that span of time. Hell, Tua led the league in passer rating. Tua's led the league in passing yards. This year he's leading the league in completion percentage, and we can't even win a playoff game. So, I mean, what are we talking about here? Again, this comes back to roster construction. You know, we literally need Tua to be perfect to stand a chance, and all units can't play complementary football. And if our offense isn't winning the game for us, there's a good chance the other units aren't doing any. Special teams, write them off. They can't win anything for you. Defense, I got what I asked against the Texans. They finally showed up for 60 minutes. I got what I had asked for. They finally showed up for 60 minutes against a good team. I don't think they showed up for 60 minutes against Buffalo in week 9. Obviously, they didn't. They didn't have a stop for the last 41 and a half minutes of the game, so obviously they didn't stop for that. I don't think they showed up very well for Green Bay at all. So, you know, don't think they showed up very well for Arizona either, but that's a different conversation. And that goes down to individual performances like Marcus May, et cetera, et cetera. So I finally got 60 minutes from the defense, but now Tua, the offense, and special teams hung them out to dry. I don't know. You tell me. It really feels like damned if you do, damned if you don't type of season. Like, this season feels like cursed. It's crazy. It's crazy. Unbelievable. So, we'll see. Man, listen. We'll talk about the playoffs today, but I don't, you know, like, at this point, what are we talking about, you know? Obviously, Denver was leading yesterday, and Denver ended up losing to the Chargers. But, you know, again, like, look at the Chargers, you know? Like, look at what they've done this season. You know, Harbaugh. And I know we missed our... Listen, I wanted Harbaugh or I wanted McDaniel when we had that window open. Obviously, we missed the window on Harbaugh. First of all, that 3-point free kick, Danny Crossman would never do that for the Miami Dolphins, speaking of Crossman. Okay? Never in a million freaking years would he even think of doing something like that, because he's just not a good enough coach. Like, let's be honest with ourselves. But anyways, you know, they lost 40-17 last week against the Bucs. Week before that, they lost 19-17 to the Chiefs. They lost to the Ravens. So they've been losing to good teams, right? And, man, just a team effort, you know? Just a team effort, you know? So, and good coaching. Good coaching. And you know what? Herbert showed up in the fourth when they needed him to. He threw those 2 touchdowns. But, you know, it was looking bleak up until they put up those 15 points, right? So, but they got it done. And honestly, if we're going to sit here and talk about the playoffs, here's the thing. I always thought it was a better chance of the Broncos losing their last 3 than the Chargers losing 2 of their last 3. I never thought the Chargers were going to lose to, because they finished off with the Patriots and the Raiders. They're going to win both those games, I think. So I thought if they would have lost yesterday and given the Broncos the win, it might have kind of screwed us. But the Broncos now have to beat the Bengals and the Chiefs. Right? And you need the Colts to lose once. But the hardest thing to do about that is the Dolphins winning out. I don't see the Dolphins winning out. That's my personal opinion. It is what it is. Speaking of Madden, Fantasy Redraft ended up with Pittman Marvin Harrison Jr., King Henry, and Hubbard, all power, no finesse. Call me soft now. Yeah. Even at receiver, big-bodied guys, right? They can win at the catch point. Man, imagine Marvin Harrison when he puts on a little bit of weight, eh? He's going to be nasty. He is going to be so good. Of course, he had his coming out game against us. Just waiting for Patrick Taylor this weekend to have his coming out game against us, and then we're all good to go. This video, it is sponsored by BetUS. Go over to betus.com right now. Use promo code YouTube150. That's YouTube150. And get your first free deposits matched by 150% up to $2,000. They have the Dolphins as 1-point favorites heading into Sunday's game. Would you look at that? The Dolphins favorites coming off of that loss to Houston. And that's probably because the 49ers are on running back 5 right now. But anyways, if you want to make some money on the Dolphins this week, and they got a 6% chance, according to BetUS, to make the playoffs. If you believe they're going to make the playoffs and squeak in, go to betus.com right now. Use promo code YouTube150 and go make some money off the Dolphins' playoff dreams. All right? Shout out to BetUS for sponsoring the channel. Regil, listen, I'm going to tell you this right now. I like what you're saying. Y'all act like the pocket quarterback is dead. Like 110%. Things that'll never die in football. Games are won and lost in the trenches. Winning from the pocket. Solid run game. And if you have an elite historic style type of defense, it can carry you to a championship. That's it. Those things will never ever change about the game of football. Ever. That's just where we're at. Now, for all of you who have hopes that this team can make the playoffs, here is updated look for you. The Los Angeles Chargers win against the Denver Broncos on Thursday night left the Dolphins with several paths to make the playoffs. If the Dolphins lose at home against San Francisco on Sunday, they would be eliminated from playoff contention. In fact, any Dolphin loss in their final 3 games would eliminate them from contention. But if the Dolphins win the remaining 3 games, home to San Francisco, then on the road at Cleveland and the Jets, they can make the playoffs in any of these 6 scenarios. 2 Denver losses and a Colts loss, 2 Chargers losses and a Colts loss, 2 Denver losses and 2 Charger losses, 3 Baltimore losses and a Colts loss, 3 Baltimore losses and 2 Denver losses, 3 Baltimore losses and 2 Charger losses. The Chargers close at New England and Vegas. The Ravens play Pittsburgh, at Houston and Cleveland. The Colts finish with Tennessee, the Giants, and Jacksonville. The Broncos play at Cincinnati and then home to Kansas City. Provided the Dolphins remain in contention entering Week 18, it would help the Dolphins if the Chiefs have something to play for in their finale at Denver. Chiefs have a 2-game lead over Buffalo for the number 1 seed, but the Bills own the tiebreaker. And Buffalo has an easier remaining schedule. They have the Patriots, the Jets, and the Patriots. The Chiefs, they play Houston, Pittsburgh, and then Denver. The Dolphins could move as high as a 6th seed in multiple scenarios. Miami would win tiebreakers against Baltimore, the Chargers, and Denver, and also against Cincinnati, which is the same record as the Dolphins. The Dolphins would lose a tiebreaker to the Colts by virtue of their October loss to the Indianapolis Colts. Man, I still can't believe we lost that game. I still can't believe we lost that game. Even with backup quarterbacks, we should have won that game. That's a game you should have won. Listen, the Seattle game should have at least been closer, let alone you probably should have had a chance to win that game. And the Indianapolis Colts game you should have won, even with 2 out. Now, I think 2 more Denver losses and a Colts loss makes the most sense. I don't think the Chargers are losing to New England and then to the Raiders. So I wouldn't put 2 Chargers loss and a Colts loss, in my pipe to smoke. 2 Denver losses and 2 Chargers losses. Again, I don't think the Chargers are going to lose out here. 3 Baltimore losses in any of those 3, 3 of those 6 scenarios have 3 Baltimore losses. There is just no way. Now, could the Ravens lose 2 of the 3 remaining in Pittsburgh, Houston, Cleveland? Sure, but they're not losing to Cleveland. They're not losing out. The Ravens are not losing their final 3 games. I think the hardest game for them is probably going to be Pittsburgh. So, yeah, I think there's only one realistic scenario, and that's Denver losing their final 2 games and Indy losing. Because, listen, I know Indy has the Titans, the Giants, and the Jaguars, but Indy is so up and down, you don't know what you're going to get. You don't know what they're going to get. Like, Anthony Richardson has the worst completion percentage for a starting quarterback since Tim Tebow was in the league. Like, that, it's bad. All right? Listen, I'm a guy who, everyone knows how I feel about the Gators, and I'm not a fan. I wasn't a fan of Anthony Richardson coming out. So, yeah, those are your playoff outlooks. Personally, where I'm at with it, I'm just focused on win out because I want a winning season. Whatever happens, happens. I mean, there's multiple ways you look at this. First of all, if you don't make the playoffs, you got no one else to blame but yourself. That's number 1. Number 2, even if you do make the playoffs, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? Like, let's be real with ourselves. What's going to happen to this team? They can't win in the trenches right now. Like, Green Bay bullied them in the trenches. Again, Houston bullied them in the trenches. Liam Eichenberg literally being grabbed by the throat and pushed back into his lap to collapse the pocket. I mean, what conversation is there to be had here right now? We aren't. Enough of this. Oh, they're a finesse team. Oh, they're this team. No, it's not about that. We aren't built for the playoffs. Plain and simple. I don't need to hear whether we're built for finesse or whether we're built for this. The only thing that matters is we are not built to the playoffs. Listen, I've talked about this on this channel. All of you people have been fans since Marino was around. Why would the Bills always beat us in the early 90s? They were built for the playoffs. Jim Kelly did not beat Dan Marino. Thurman Thomas and the way that defense was orchestrated and constructed beat the Miami Dolphins. They were built to win in cold weather, and they were built to win in the playoffs. It's just every year it all went wrong for them in the game that mattered the most, i.e. the Super Bowl. So that's what the issue is. When you get into, I keep telling y'all, the same way you win in cold weather is the same way you win in playoff games. You got to be able to win in the trenches. You got to be able to run the football, and you got to be able to play good defense. And you got to win from the pocket. That's it. And you got to be consistent. Literally, you got to be consistent. And that's one thing this team does not know. Tua shows up for the Buffalo game, week 9. Plays one of the best games ever from a quarterback from a analytical standpoint against the McDermott defense and the Bills defense since 2017. And what happens? Our defense and special teams have some of the worst games from an analytical standpoint and film-wise against the Bills in that same game. You know? Everyone wants to blame Tua for us not scoring points in the first half. I've already talked about this. 2 of the first 4 drives in the first half were out of Tua's control. I mean, I don't know what people are remembering here. Only 2 of them were in Tua's control, and he won. He got a field goal on one of them. right? If you go back, again, what happened? Right? You had penalties and sacks. Oh, sure enough, penalty. What a theme. It's the same thing that happened. We literally had drives end even against the Texans on penalties and sacks. Tua, Achane, Tyreek, McDaniel didn't even have a chance to screw it up. Achane doesn't really screw up, so I'm just throwing his name out there. But you look at that Packers game. You look at the first half. Right? You look at the first half. You look at our first drive. And what happened? Jonnu Smith, right? Jonnu Smith took a false start to start the drive. To an Achane, dug us out of it. Tua gets sacked for 12 yards by Rashawn Gary. Thank God they get called for an offside. But 1st and 5, next play, Julian Hill takes a false start. 1st and 10. Then you got a negative run by Achane. Then you got a unnecessary roughness on 2nd and 11. Pushes us to 3rd and 29. Drive over against Green Bay. Right? That's the first drive. Second drive, Tua gets a field goal. Third drive of the first half, what happens? 2nd and 6, Tua is sacked for a loss of 2 yards. 3rd and 8, Tua is sacked for a loss of 9 yards. Drive over. Oh, and we had already been pushed back to 1st and 20 because of a hold on Robert Jones. Drive over. And then the last drive of that game, of that first half, Tua wasn't very good on. We turned it over on downs instead of taking the points. So really only 2 of those drives were in Tua's power, and we got a field goal. And then what happened? Tua in the second half was at about almost 297 yards, was about to bring us in within 1 score, and McDaniel decides to take off Tyreek Hill and Jonnu Smith on a critical 4th down and go with a heavy set. Ingold can't even stay on the field. No one gets open. Sack. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. But everyone wants to simplify and blame one person when there are multiple factors at play here. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. We can't, and the fact alone that in none of these games, whether 2 is on, whether 2 is off, whatever, whether the defense is on, whether the defense is off, we can't get these guys to play complementary football on all 3 phases. Look at Green Bay. Look at the start of that game. Defense shows up, forces a 3 and out, muff punt. Right away, defense is backed up, gives up 7. Offense comes out here and has that drive that I talked about with all the penalties, including the unnecessary roughness for Jeudy that deaded the drive, the false start to start the drive. And then we start to settle in, but certain phases don't. It's crazy. This team just cannot get going. And let's be honest. Let's keep it $150 here right now. The Rams are a good team now. They're in the playoffs. All 3 phases show up. We beat them on primetime. 2022. Even with Tua having his head rattled a little bit. All 3 phases show up. We beat Buffalo at home. And really, if the defense shows up on that final drive before the end of the first half, and if Sherfield and Tyreek show up, we sweep Buffalo in 2022 during the regular season. And if Tua is healthy in the playoffs, we probably beat Buffalo in the first round. We just cannot get, the stars never align for us. Ever. Ever. That's the pain of being a Dolphin fan. Is sometimes you see a shooting star. Oh, the Dolphins squeaked in the playoffs. Oh, the Dolphins are, 11-6 or 10-7, and they've got an explosive offense. We've got a shot. You'll see your shooting star, but you'll never see the stars perfectly align. It's crazy. It's crazy. That's what it is to be a Dolphin fan. To look at the stars every night and see that one shooting star that gives you hope that your wish is going to come true, but it never does. And one night you're hoping you just walk out the backyard, you look up at the stars, and they're all aligned. That's what it is to be a Dolphin fan for the last 25 years. Who do I see as a QB2 next season? I'd draft him. I'd get my boy Jackson Dart in the 3rd round. You already know what time it is, baby. All right, let's get into this game. So, here is your weather report for Week 16. There is a slight chance of shower, mostly cloudy. It's going to be between 70 to 74. It's going to be wind gusts of around 7 miles per hour out of the northeast. So, and it's going to be pretty good cloud cover. It's going to be anywhere from 48 to 51% cloud cover. The precipitation probability, I don't think it's going to, it says slight chance, but 8%, that's not really that great. So, but it's just going to be a cloudy day. And it's not going to be very humid. The humid's going to be anywhere from 53% to 66%. Last home game of the season, fans. Go be loud. Go be loud. That's what I'm saying. Go be loud. Now, here we go. We got a lot to update here right now. Let's get into this. Could help be coming on the way for the Miami Dolphins right now. Here we go. So, Blake Ferguson, he's out for the rest of the season. D. Eskridge and Jalen Waddle, doubtful. Armstead, questionable. Bradley Chubb, questionable. Cam Good, questionable. Tyreek, questionable. His wrist has showed up. And Kendall Lamb, he was a full participant today. Armstead was limited. It looks like you're going to be getting back your bookend tackles. Now, if Liam Eichenberg is benched, like he mentioned, you could have Wynn, Lamb, and Armstead back. Oh boy. Run that football if that happens. Run it. Please. But it does look like we might get 2 of our starting offensive tackles back. But obviously Jalen Waddle will be out. And Armstead did say at his locker he's optimistic that he will play Sunday. So, man, we could see a whole new. We could literally see Armstead, Wynn, Brewer, Robert Jones, and Kendall Lamb. Wow, that sounds so much better than Liam Eichenberg being in there. And when you look at this, guys, with Waddle and Eskridge unlikely to play, the Dolphins have just 3 available receivers on their 53-man roster. Tyreek Hill, Malik Washington, River Craycraft. Now, we can elevate guys. We got Isaiah McKenzie. We got Eric Izakama. And we got Tariq Black on the practice squad. I could see them elevating Izakama. Now, I know it says Bradley Chubb and Cam Good, they're questionable. McDaniel said he wasn't ready to rule either of them out. The Dolphins have to activate them by Christmas. So, He said that they felt that Cam was a little bit ahead, so we'll see who's ready to go. And Grant Dubois is not expected to play the rest of the season, FYI, in case you didn't know. Now, Isaac Guerrero, he's out. They're going to be on their 5th running back. That's Patrick Taylor. Trent Williams is out. That is a huge, huge loss. That means they're going to be looking for Jalen Moore. Oh, boy. Nick Bosa's questionable. Robert Beal's questionable. Drake Greenlaw's questionable. So they'll be playing. But listen, before we keep going here, this begs a question. He got cut today. He got waived. Should the Miami Dolphins pursue Deontay Johnson? Should they pursue Deontay Johnson? That's the question. Now, this is a former 1,000-yard receiver. All right? 1,100 yards he had in 2021. Now, he went through a quarterback carousel in Pittsburgh, and they obviously moved him to Carolina. Carolina has moved off him already. Baltimore's got rid of him. Do you go out and get Deontay Johnson because, I mean, you know, you're so depleted at receiver? Now, I know people are going to say he's a quitter. And I get that. But, I mean, I'm not even saying add him to the active roster. Put him on the practice squad. Because remember, he was suspended for conduct detrimental to the team, right? So, again, you could put him on the practice squad. So, I don't know. Anyways, hey, to me, this looks like we got a chance. Show me what you got, Eric Ezekama. Show me what you got. This is a chance for Eric Ezekama to get elevated. And I know Craycraft can make plays. I know we can depend on a guy like Craycraft to make plays. You know? So, I still got faith in what we got. I do want to see Eric Ezekama activated. I mean, when your only healthy receivers right now are Tyreek Hill, Malik Washington, and River Craycraft, I would honestly try and activate Isaiah McKenzie and Eric Ezekama. But, hey, this could also mean more big opportunities for Malik Washington. This could mean more big opportunities for Malik Washington. And he's earned more opportunities. Reginald says if Easy E gets activated and balls, I might go full Joker moment. Wouldn't that be crazy? Everyone's gonna be like, why didn't you play him earlier? We were sitting on this the whole time. So yeah. But I personally, I want to see Eric Ezekama get an opportunity, and I want to see Malik Washington get an opportunity before we bring in anyone. That's where I would be at. So, how do these two teams stack up when you compare them? You look at the total offense. The Dolphins are 20th. The 49ers are 8th. And remember, they lost Purdy for some time earlier this season, right? Brandon Allen had to start 3 games, and they still remained 8th. You get passing offense. Niners are 10th. Dolphins are 14th. Dolphins have come a long way since we came back. 222.6 yards for the Dolphins to about 231.6 for the Niners. Rushing offense, the Niners are 8th. The Dolphins are 26th. Far cry from being a top 3 rush defense like we were last year, huh? Scoring offense, the Dolphins are averaging about 19.7 points per game, which is 24th. Niners are 15th. They're averaging about 22.4 points per game. Sacks allowed. 49ers have allowed 29, which is 12th best. Dolphins allowed 35, which is 18th. Third down offense, 49ers are 10th best. They're converting at about a 42.3 conversion clip. The Dolphins, they're 14th. They're converting at about 38.4%. When you look at the defenses, the 49ers have the 3rd best defense in the NFL, ladies and gentlemen. They're allowing about 298.8 yards per game total defense. The Dolphins, they're 6th. They're allowing about 308.6 yards per game. Now, 2 good passing defenses are squaring off. Dolphins are 8th in the NFL, allowing about 205 yards per game. But hey, we saw what Rodgers did to them a couple of weeks ago. And then you got the 49ers. They got the number 2 passing defense. They are allowing only 181 yards per game. Wow. Like, that is that's impressive. I'm not gonna lie. Now we've seen the Jets had one of the highest. They had a top 5 passing defense, and we saw what Tua did to them. But, the Texans had a top 10 passing defense, and DeMeco Ryans and his coverages gave us fits, and we struggled. So who knows what we get this week? Who knows? I don't know. Who knows what we get this week? But, I mean, another good passing defense, it's not going to be easy, man. It's just not going to be easy. And, you look at it, surprisingly, what's crazy is the team that's put up the most passing yards against them, when you look at it, it's crazy when you break it down, was the Seattle Seahawks. Who would have thought, huh? Who would have thought the Seattle Seahawks would be the team that puts up all the yards against them? In the passing game, at least, sorry. Geno Smith threw for 312 yards. Now, he also threw for a touchdown and 2 picks. But when you look at this, guys, I mean, the second most they allowed was Sam Darnold. They allowed 257 yards in week 2. In week 8, against the Dallas Cowboys, they allowed 236 passing yards to Dak Prescott. So, they, it's, I'm not sitting here expecting Tua to come out here and put up a 300 and, 50. If Tua goes out and puts a 350-yard game, that will be a anomaly this year for the 49ers. So, I mean, they've got a lot, games where they're not even they're barely allowing 300 yards. Last week, they allowed 302 total yards to the Rams. But passing yards, the highest games against them, Prescott had 236, Geno Smith had 306, and Darnold had 257. They haven't allowed a passer to have over 200 yards against them since week 8. Closest since that, Seattle, Geno on the second time around had 195 yards. So that's a passing defense. Jesus. Rushing defense, Dolphins are 8th. They're allowing about 103.6 yards per game. 49ers, they're 15th. They're allowing about 117.8 yards per game. But what does that matter? We can't even get 60 yards right now. Scoring defense, Dolphins are allowing about 22.3 points per game. The 49ers are allowing about 22.9 points per game. Sacks, the Dolphins, they have 28, which is 26th best in the NFL. 49ers have 35, which is 14th best. On third down, the Dolphins are allowing offenses to convert on third about 34.7%, which is 6th best. 49ers are allowing a conversion rate of 42.5, which is 25th. Takeaways, the 49ers, they have 17, 14th best. The Dolphins have 12, which is 25th best. And then giveaways as an offense, the Dolphins have 17, and the 49ers, they have 21. So a little bit of a weakness there when you break it down. So let's get into my keys to victory for Week 16 and the Miami Dolphins. Let's start off with the offense. You got to control the controllables. All right? I just went over drives in the Green Bay game, and there were drives against Houston in the second half, mind you, where penalties and sacks killed drives. So, penalties, those are a controllable. No pre-snap penalties. Turnovers, these are controllables. Tua, you need to clean them up. Tyreek, you need to run the right route and you need to win at the catch point. Running backs, receivers, ball security needs to be paramount. Make catches when the ball comes your way, especially this week. There's going to be no Waddle, so we're going to have to feed Jonnu. We're going to have to feed Tyreek. We're going to have to feed Achane. Malik might get an uptick. Ball comes your way, make the freaking catch. Offensive line, communication. This is a controllable. We need good communication. We got sacks happening because either running backs have to pick up with assignments from the offensive line, or guys on the offensive line aren't keeping their head on the swivel and aren't making good plays. Overall execution. Control the controllables. You can control pre-snap penalties. You can control turnovers. You can control catching the ball when it comes your way. You can control good communication across the line. You can control how you execute. So control the controllables. Number 2, you got to keep drives alive. San Fran is 25th as a defense on third down. Even if you can't run it, Tua has been a third down machine for the offense. He just has been. The only way we've been converting on third and fourths is usually has been passing the ball. And you look at the amount of first downs we have, like in total, and you start comparing them, and it's really funny to watch. I mean, you know, we go into games, and like just for example, like let's go to the Green Bay game, right? Like the Packers game, because 39 freaking rushing yards, right? You look at this team, right? We had 21 first downs, right, in that game. 20 of them were passing first downs. Like, so you got to keep drives alive. And, what they don't do nearly enough is they don't move the sticks on first and second down. The Dolphins are averaging 31 minutes and 40 seconds in time possession. That's 5th best in the NFL. And the running game is where it's at right now. You need to move the sticks more on first and second down. That's what needs to happen. And then number 3, you got to be efficient in the red zone. San Francisco is 30th in the NFL, allowing opposing offenses to score 67.39% of the time they're in the red zone. Miami as an offense is 12th best in the NFL. They score on about 58.14% of their red zone trips. So you're going up against one of the worst red zone defenses in the NFL. You got to get to the red zone and you got to make it count. So what I got here are control the controllables, keep drives alive, and be efficient in the red zone. And I think you should win this game. Now, defensively, these are my keys for the defense. You got to make them one-dimensional. The 49ers are on their 5th running back. Like, Patrick Taylor is their running back this weekend, ladies and gentlemen. Christian McCaffrey's out. Isaac Guerendo's out. Jordan Mason's out. Elijah Mitchell out. Patrick Taylor, he's got 14 carries for 50 yards and a touchdown this season. All right? Like, this better be easy work, light work. Patrick Taylor's never had a 100-yard game. So, you know, it's, I mean, he was with Green Bay the last 3 years. And the most yards he's had in a season was what? Like, I think he had 141 last year. And the most yards he's had in the game was like 30. So, you better not play around. You better not let Patrick Taylor have his career game against you this year. Literally, his most yards in the game was 30. He did it twice last year. So, you better make him one-dimensional. They're on their 5th running back. And I will say, watch the creativity out of the backfield with Debo. You got to be wary of that. You got to be wary of that. Wynn doesn't want to play guard, Number 2, you got to protect the seams. Bowers gave you massive issues when you played the Vegas Raiders. Kittle had a 6-catch, 150-yard game 2 weeks ago against the Bears. He has 8 touchdowns on the season. He's on pace for 1,000 yards again and has his 3rd highest yards per catch of his career this season at 14.4 yards per catch. Second level coverage has been spotty at best for Miami. You need to protect the seams. Kittle could be a problem for this defense. Number 3, chance for turnovers. San Francisco has the 7th most turnovers in the NFL with 21. They have 10 lost fumbles and 11 interceptions. This defense will need to force turnovers to give the offense good field position to score off of. The Dolphins have the 17th most takeaways with 9 fumble recoveries and 8 picks. Guys, they have 21 turnovers right now in 14 games. All right? They're averaging 1.5 turnovers a game. You better get some turnovers. I don't want to hear nothing. Like, this should be easy for you to create turnovers. So, make them one-dimensional. They're on their 5th running back. Protect the seams. Don't let Kittle give you the same problems Bowers did. And they got the 7th most turnovers in the NFL, does San Francisco. They're averaging a turnover and a half per game. Make it happen. You didn't against Love and the Packers. You better this week. That's all I got to say. And my matchup to watch, we'll just follow what we were last week. It was Tua versus Stroud. This week, it's going to be Purdy versus Tua. I mean, Tua's got a banged up offensive line, banged up weapons. Purdy, banged up offensive line, banged up weapons. Who's going to rise to the occasion and do enough for their team to come out with the victory? That's what this comes down to with your player matchup to watch. And guys with very similar skill sets and two guys that I hold in very high regard. So we're going to find out tomorrow. What's my prediction? How do I see this game going? I think the Dolphins' playoff dreams end this weekend in a 23-20 loss to the San Francisco 49ers. I do not, and it all comes down to one basic thing. I do not believe that Mike McDaniel can outcoach Kyle Shanahan. I think Kyle Shanahan will be prepared. I think they'll probably defensively dabble into some disguises the way DeMeco did to confuse McDaniel and the offense. McDaniel's not a good in-game adjuster. I think the Dolphins lose tomorrow. On Sunday. That's where I'm at. McDaniel's done nothing to show me that he can outcoach McDaniel. And this team has done nothing to show me that they can beat a well-coached team with the kind of talent the 49ers have. Hey, they're better than their record. You could say the same thing for us that you could for them, that they're better than their record. So that's what I think happens. I think we lose. Interesting stat here for all of you baseball fans. If you are a baseball fan and you know what WAR is, right? Wins above replacement. That's what it stands for. It attempts to measure a player's overall value to a team by basically seeing how many wins he's worth when compared to a replacement level player. And what's crazy is when you look at Football WAR and this great job done here by Patent Analytics. Look at where Tua ranks on wins above replacement. 6th. Josh Allen, number 1, clearly. Hurts, number 2. Mahomes, 3. Burrow, 4. 5, Jackson. 6, Tagovailoa. 7, Purdy. So this is showing how important these players just are to their team. Right? So, kind of crazy. And 3 separate models are used to explain the variance in win probability added. One for air yards, one for yak, one for sacks, scrambles, designed runs. So the framework does consider factors such as targeted receivers, pass rushers, pressure, and time to throw. So yeah, it's very interesting. It's very interesting to see how that all stacks up. Kind of crazy that, but that's nothing that Tua being out didn't really show us. Let's be honest with ourselves. Oh my God, let's be honest with ourselves. Guys, do me the favor, smash the like button. Subscribe if you are new. And you know what? We'll be back on Sunday. We'll be live reacting to the Miami Dolphins and the San Francisco 49ers. 2 6-8 teams where we thought by this time of the season, at worst they would be both 8-6. And here they are, both underachieving. And Mike McDaniel, he's about 500 against Shanahan disciples. Well, he was about just over 500 heading into that DeMeco game. So history told us he was going to lose at least one of these 2 games. But I don't know. I got a feeling our playoff dreams end this weekend. And it sucks because you know if it's a bad performance and it all ends this weekend against San Francisco, those Boo Birds are going to be out in full force. That's it. So smash that like button. Subscribe if you are new. I appreciate each and every one of you taking some time out and coming through. Here we go. Let's go. We better be able to beat a team on their whose main identity is a rushing offense, and they're on their 5th running back. That's all I got to say. Fins up all day, every day. I'll see y'all in the next one. Until then, love all y'all. Smash that like button. Appreciate y'all. Take it easy, everyone.